Hi, everybody. This is Karen Bentley, and this is my partner.
Tony Lapetina.
And we're here with the Sugar-Free Advantage channel. Thank you for tuning in. The Sugar-Free Advantage is about being your complete resource for living and weight loss on the sugar-free and low-carb and keto continuum. All of those strategies involve awareness and control of sugar to one degree or another, and that's what we're about. So tonight we're going to be talking about Sugar 101, everything you need to know to make smart, independent decisions for yourself about how much sugar is too much in your daily diet. So let's get started. We're going to use a question and answer format where Tony represents you guys, and he is the audience, and he's going to answer, and I'm going to help him.
Good.
So Tony, the great diet guru, Robert Atkins, said sugar is metabolic poison. What did he mean, do you think?
He meant that sugar, particularly refined sugar, is not good for your body. It really doesn't help you. It turns into carbs, which turn into fat, which, if you go long enough, are very difficult to get rid of, the fat cells, that is. It also just doesn't help your overall wellness either, particularly the refined sugar, which it shows up in all kinds of places you wouldn't expect it.
It sure does. And we're going to be talking a lot about those topics of how sugar makes you very sick in some cases, but not tonight. Tonight we're going to do focusing on the basics of sugar and just really what you need to know to make independent, smart choices for yourself. And metabolism is the process of breaking down food into energy that your body can use, and that energy is in the form of sugar. And what happens, Tony, if your body doesn't have enough sugar in the bloodstream?
You feel lethargic, lazy, tired. You can almost have a high on sugar, a little bit like an amphetamine, but it goes away very quickly, and it just doesn't. If you've got too much of it, it's not good for your digestive system in any respect.
If you don't have enough sugar in your system, you could actually die. That's what happens to type 1 diabetics. If they don't have enough sugar in their system, they can go into a coma and die. So it's a very serious situation. And if you don't have enough energy, you feel really bad. But if you have too much energy, do you feel bad, Tony? You think people feel bad when they have too much energy?
I guess that depends on the definition of too much. If it's you can't sit still and you're going crazy and you've got to move constantly, that could be too much energy, pent up.
It could be too much.
It could be, yeah.
And what usually happens is that sugar high results in an immediate sugar low because your body sends in some chemicals to get that out of your bloodstream,
Right.
And you end up with a sugar low. And that's, as we just talked about, that's not what you want. But too much sugar, if it just stays in your bloodstream, most people don't feel anything. They don't even get a headache. There's no clues that you have too much sugar in your blood. And that's really what we want to deal with and prevent, because you just have to simply be aware of how much you're eating and that it is actually too much, because your body's not going to give you a signal, probably. So there are 3 basic food types, Tony. What type of food is sugar?
Oh boy, they had this on a quiz last night on Jeopardy.
You already said it. You already said it. You know it. It
Carbs.
starts with carbs. Sugar is a carbohydrate. And the only purpose that carbohydrates have is to provide energy for the body. The body wants to use carbohydrates for its prime energy source. So that's what they're really there to just supply energy to you. And all carbohydrates are eventually broken down into sugar. So no matter what you eat, whether it is sugar or it's a piece of lettuce or something else, it's going to break down into sugar. And all carbohydrates come from a plant-based source. Tony, what's the official name for sugar before it's eaten, before it goes into your body? It ends in ose.
Sucrose.
Sucrose. So table sugar is sucrose. And we know that anything that ends in "ose" is going to be a sugar. What's the official name for sugar once it's been digested into your body?
Oh boy. That one I don't remember.
Oh, it's, you know it, it's ends in "ose."
Ends in what?
Ose. It's another "ose" word.
Fructose. No.
Close.
No, I forget.
It's glucose. It's glucose. It's glucose.
Thank you. Glucose, yes.
So table sugar is called sucrose before it's eaten, and after it's eaten, it's called glucose once it's in your bloodstream.
Yeah, got it.
Tony, what is sugar made of? What plants?
I mean, it mostly comes from cane, sugar cane,
Yep.
grown in the tropics, but it also comes from, I mean, that's the most dominant source for like table sugar, like you said, refined sugars.
So it comes also beets.
That's right, beet sugar, yes.
And beets have sort of are gaining in popularity because you can get more crops in, and because they're easier to harvest. So, you know, and large farmers are like everybody else. They want the most efficient way to produce a product. So beets might be taking over. We'll see. But it used to be 100% sugar cane, and now it's, I don't know what the percentage is, but it's beets and sugar.
Yeah.
Is sugar natural, Tony?
Not the way we're getting it in table sugar, for example, but it is natural in terms of how it's resident in several different plants.
Tony just gave a great example of what most people think, that they think that the word natural has to do with processing, and natural has nothing to do with processing. So sugar is 100% natural because it comes from a plant source. Anything that comes from a plant source or an animal source can be called natural, no matter how much pulverizing, heating, chemical treatments it's had, it still can be called natural. So I sort of chuckle when I hear people talking about alternatives to sugar and how they're better because they're natural. Well, sugar is natural. And so are all its relatives and cousins. So glucose is, once you eat the sugar, it goes into your blood. And once you eat sucrose, it goes into your blood. It's converted to glucose. And it takes a certain pathway. It has priorities. Your body has its priorities. So the first place it's going to send the glucose is to your brain, so that you get energy to your brain. And the second place it's going to send it is to your heart, so that your heart keeps pumping. Those are the two biggest priorities. And then it's going to send it to other organs. And then after that, it's going to go someplace else. It's sort of like parking at the airport. There's short-term parking, and there's medium-term parking, and there's long-term parking. Well, with glucose, there's also short-term, medium-term, and long-term parking. So short-term is your brain, your heart, your organs. Medium-term is your muscles, so that you can move around. Your muscles need energy.
Yep.
And your long-term parking for glucose is?
Pancreas.
Fat cells.
Oh, right. You're right.
So
storage. Sugar storage.
Yeah, it's going into storage. So first it's going to your organs, then it's going to your muscles, then it's going to your fat cells. What if those fat cells are full? Where is it going to get parked? What's going to happen?
More fat.
More fat cells get made. So that's the path of glucose, and that's pretty much how it happens with the help of a hormone. Do you know that hormone, Tony, that helps glucose get out of the bloodstream and into the cells where it's needed?
No.
Insulin.
I was going to say insulin.
Yeah. So insulin
It was on the tip of my tongue.
Insulin's job in life is to get the sugar out of your bloodstream and to put it where it's going to do the most work, to your organs or to your muscles or to your fat cells. And its whole mission in life is the storage of glucose. So if your body has a lot of insulin in it because you're eating high sugar foods and your body is producing insulin to respond to those sugar foods, Your body's in storage mode. It's not in weight loss mode. It's trying to store. So you're literally fighting against yourself if your body's making a lot of insulin. And that's the first thing you need to know about sugar and the dastardly effect it has on you. All right, so one of the things that slows down the production of insulin that is really helpful to know about is that some carbohydrates are faster to turn into glucose than others, and some are very slow to turn into glucose than others. So Tony, if you were going to take a wild guess, what would you think sugar is? A fast carbohydrate or a slow one?
I think it's fast.
It's fast because it's already been pulverized and broken down.
Right.
Your body doesn't have to do any work. So that, you know, the work has already been done of breaking it down. So it's very fast. So sugar and its relatives will increase the glucose in your bloodstream very rapidly, which will produce a big insulin response very rapidly, which will put your body into that storage mode. How about broccoli? Is that a fast acting or a slow acting carbohydrate?
Slow.
Yeah,
You got to break it down.
got to break it down. It's got fiber. You know, it's going to take forever. So broccoli, yeah, it's going to turn into sugar, but it's a very slow acting sugar. And that's what, you know, you need to remember that the speed that the sugar is broken down and converts to glucose is a really important factor, and it's going to make a big difference. How about this one, Tony? Can the other two types of foods are proteins and fats? So we have,
Right.
we're talking about carbohydrates, which
Yep.
are for energy.
Mm-hmm.
But what about proteins and fats? Can the body use that for glucose?
For glucose, wow. Let me see. Meats.
It's a
Wow.
tough.
No.
It's a tough question. It's a trick question.
I'm going to say there's something in meats because of where the meat comes from, animals that are going to have sugar in their diet one way or another, if it's broken down grass that they're chewing on or whatever, but that's my guess.
Yep, pretty good guess. So your body will go through an extra step. It doesn't want to. It doesn't want to, but it will go through an extra step of converting either protein or fat into glucose so that it can use it for energy. And this is the basis of a keto diet. So where you're not getting, you're getting either minimal or no carbohydrates whatsoever, and you're forcing the body to use fat to
Right.
feed itself. So yes, it can be done. The body doesn't, you know, it's not the preferred way for the body to get energy, but it can be done. And especially in starvation mode, you know, your body will take whatever it can to stay alive and use those things. So it can do that. How much sugar does the body need at any one time to function properly in terms of tablespoons or teaspoons or cups, or how much do you think the body needs to perform efficiently any one time?
I'll say a tablespoon.
Pretty darn good, Tony.
Honest to
Pretty
God.
darn good. That's pretty close.
I'll be damned.
A tablespoon is 3 teaspoons, and the body actually only needs 2 teaspoons to function properly. So that's not very much, and it can get it from any kind of plant source. You don't have to give it any added sugars to perform optimally. And it's really important to know this, because this is going to be the basis of your smart decisions going forward, of how you decide how much is too much. When you realize that all your body ever needs at any one time is 2 teaspoons, you know, that should help you figure things out pretty quickly on your own. So that was according to Nancy Appleton. Do you remember her, Tony, from our old radio show?
I do. We interviewed her. You interviewed her. Yep. Yep.
Dr. Appleton was one of the pioneers in sugar research, and I still have her book, and I still love her. She's great. And she was the one who made that finding that all you need is 2 teaspoons of sugar. All right, so What's the guidelines for the government guidelines? Do you have any idea? Is anybody paying attention to what our government is telling us these days? The guidelines for sugar consumption for adults, not for children.
I'm sure there's something out there, but in like in a daily.
Yeah, a daily consumption.
Wow, wild guess, 100 milligrams.
Pretty close. So for women, the government recommendation is 2 tablespoons per day, which is about 100 calories, which is about 25 grams. And for men, it's 3 tablespoons, which is about 125 calories and 38 grams. In my opinion, that's still too much to have. But at least as a max, as an absolute max, you don't want to have more than 2 tablespoons for women and 3 for men, unless it's Christmas or your birthday or a holiday or a special occasion. You really want to control your consumption of sugar to that maximum level. The optimal level, in my opinion, being in the sugar-free business for over 20 years, is that you don't want to have more than 1 tablespoon a day, especially if you're on a weight loss mission. You don't want to give yourself more than 1 tablespoon of added sugar a day. So 1 tablespoon is 3 teaspoons. That's about 50 calories. It's about it's between 12 and 13 grams.
I was going to ask you about the grams because that's what you typically see on the packaging.
On the packaging, so on the packaging, you're usually looking at per serving size. What you want to do is you don't want to give yourself more than 1 teaspoon per serving. 1 teaspoon, that's all you want, which is 16 calories, which is 4 grams. So burn that into your memory. 4 grams. 16 calories of added sugar, not natural sugar.
Right.
All right. So while we're on the whole subject of measurements, let's talk a minute about the glycemic index. What do you think that is?
I think it's some means of determining the level of sugar in your blood.
Bingo, that's it. That's exactly it. That's exactly it. The glycemic index measures the glucose that's in your blood from the food that you eat. Wild guess, what do you think the glycemic index is for table sugar or sucrose?
What's the scale?
Scale is 1 to 100.
100 being way too much.
100 is the highest.
So for just plain table sugar?
Just plain table sugar, where do you think it is?
I'd say it's close to the 100 end.
You would think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
That is a really logical guess.
Uh-oh.
It's only 63.
Wow.
How about bread? You think bread's higher or lower?
Lower, but not by much.
Higher, but not by much, in the low 70s. How about a baked potato, higher or lower?
Oh. I'm going to say lower again.
No, a baked potato is 85, babe.
Wow. A lot more than I thought.
So you're welcome. You just learned everything you need to know about high glycemic indexes. The 3 types of foods that are going to get you up there the fastest are anything with a caloric sweetener in it, anything made from a flour, or anything made with a starch like a baked potato.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 categories of foods. You really don't need a glycemic index to figure that out, but if you want to, that's the answer you're going to be getting from it. There's also all kinds of scales used with the glycemic index of, what's high, what's medium, what's low. There's a red system, a yellow system, a green system. And you can use that if you like. But again, really what you need to know is caloric sweeteners, foods made with flours that are already broken down and pulverized and very fast for the body to digest, and starches, which the body can convert very quickly as well. So, if you just remember those 3 things, you can throw the glycemic index out. there's actually, why do you think sugar isn't 100? It should be, shouldn't it? Why isn't it?
I suspect that it's because it's refined before we see it.
Good guess, but no. That's a good guess, Tony. That's as good as any. But you know what? It's because of what table sugar is made of. The two molecules that make table sugar. And this is sort of a little piece of boring science 101, but we have to do this because this is the place where everybody needs the most help. So you have to do this in service to humanity, Tony.
Okay. Take one for the team.
Take one for the team. What do you think the two molecules that are in sugar are?
Oh my
They
God.
both end in O's. They both end in O's. One we've already been talking about.
Sucralose.
Nope, glucose.
Oh, glucose. Sorry. Yes. The other one ends in os, not glucose.
The other one ends in O's, and it starts with Fruc.
Fructose.
Fructose. So table sugar is 50% glucose and 50% fructose, which nobody pays any attention to whatsoever.
Never knew that.
I know, it's a big
Never
surprise.
knew that was a
isn't it?
combo. Wow.
It's a combo deal.
Yeah.
And what does the glycemic index measure? Does it measure fructose?
No. Measures
No.
glucose.
It measures glucose. So I liken it to digging a hole with half a shovel.
Yeah.
It's better than no shovel at all.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not the complete picture. It's
Right.
not the best tool, but it's the only tool we've got.
Mm-hmm.
But fructose somehow got completely forgotten in this story, and it's a big part of the story.
Yeah, I'll say 50%.
Yeah. So that's why table sugar only has a glycemic index in the 60s instead of 100, like you'd think it would be, because the fructose is pulling it down. And in fact, we're going to be looking at sugar and all its cousins in a second, and they're all made of this glucose fructose compound, which is why I call them all sugar.
Right.
Because to me, they're very much the same, but not to everybody. But we'll talk about that in a bit. So okay, we know that that the problem with glucose is that it provokes a high what response? What's that hormone?
Glycemic.
And the hormone that gets it out of the bloodstream.
Insulin.
Yes. So you get all that insulin going in your blood, and that insulin wants to store fat, not release it. So, you set yourself up for making it very hard to lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
But fructose has a different pathway. Fructose isn't even digested. It's a totally different bird. And
wow.
But it really, if you're eating fruit, which is really the source of most fructose, if you're eating fruit, that's a small quantity and it's not problematic. It only becomes problematic when you have these large concentrated amounts, as occurs in sucrose or high fructose corn syrup or maple syrup or whatever we're going to be talking about. So it's only a problem then, not if you're just eating an apple or a banana.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So what do you think happens? Let's see. I'm not going to torment you with this one, Tony. We're just going to cut straight to the chase of what
No worries.
of what happens with fructose. Fructose doesn't digest. It doesn't end up in your bloodstream. It goes straight to your liver, where it is converted into a thing called a triglyceride, which is a fat molecule. So fructose goes straight to your liver, and then it's converted instantly to fat, and that floats around in your body. And what do you think that fat does?
Accumulates.
It does. I have to read some stuff from...
it goes into storage.
It goes into the damn storage. It's horrible. I have some, let's see. This is from Food and Fitness Advisor. Sugar forms the backbone of triglycerides. When you have a lot of sugar, you get increased fat production and more triglycerides in the blood. There appears to be a very direct connection here. Here's one from the Berkeley News Health and Newsletter. After just 2 weeks, the fructose group, but not the glucose group, had already developed a lipid profile typical of atherosclerosis.
Oof.
By the study's end, the fructose group also showed increases in LDL, the bad cholesterol, while the glucose group did not. And one more, let's see, one more to scare you. And this is from the scientific research of the NIH, the Government National Institute of Health. The high fructose resulted in significantly lower levels of glucose. So the higher the fructose is in a product, the lower the glucose is. There's like an inverse relationship. And but significantly higher levels of total LDL. LDL is the lousy cholesterol, the bad one. So there's the sad story on triglycerides and the relationship to fructose. And it's just one that's totally underreported. Nobody realizes it. But it's a really important piece of the puzzle, and it's on the table.
Triglycerides is what I'm battling right now.
Yeah.
I've got cholesterol under control, I've got blood pressure under control, and I've got triglycerides that are not under control.
Well, we're
gonna bring those down, people, while we go through this series of webinars.
We're gonna zoom in on that, Tony. Yeah. Okay, so the thing you need to remember about sucrose, which is table sugar, and all its relatives, is that they're a compound made of glucose and fructose. Glucose increases the production of insulin, and fructose increases the production of triglycerides or fat cells, and both are dastardly. And both are gonna increase your girth quite a bit and increase your weight quite a bit. So you really want to be conscious of the amount of sugar and sugar relatives you're putting into your body. So today I was looking up the glycemic index on all these products we're going to be talking about in a second, you know, like agave syrup and maple syrup. And what I found was that even authorities have a lot of confusion about this whole fructose thing, that they don't realize that these caloric sweeteners in most cases are 50% of the molecule composition, or maybe they're 40 or 60, but there's some, you know, there's some combination of the sweetening agent. And they'll say things like, well, there's no fructose in maple syrup because it's all sucrose. And not realizing that sucrose is 50% fructose. So there's just a lot of confusion, and this is meant to deconfuse you and make you able to work independently on your own and make smart decisions about sugar and its relatives.
Hear, hear.
All right. So we're going to get to know, so Tony, how are we doing on time?
We are doing well. Well, I can't see it right now. I think we're
Can you see how long we've been recording?
Let me see if it tells me that. Sorry. You know, I should have looked at this ahead of time. I'm going to have to edit this part out.
All right. Yeah, that's all right.
It's supposed to have it in here.
How do you think it's going?
I think it's going well.
Okay.
Just a few little pauses I might cut out, but yeah, and this little interchange.
Yeah. Well, all right. Should we reintroduce ourselves to start the next segment, or I guess we didn't say goodbye. We didn't say goodbye.
No, we didn't. We can still do that. And then, you know, you can say coming up next, you know, will be the sugar family.
Okay.
All right.
So everybody, Tony and I are gonna say bye for now. So we don't want to make this video too long, but we're coming up next. We're going to be talking about agave, maple syrup, table sugar, high fructose corn syrup, molasses. So come back and see part 2 of Sugar 101 and find out what the difference between these products is. You're going to really love it. Bye for now.
Thanks, everybody. See you soon.